I think the terminology is important. He doesn't become a murder suspect until we have enough information to find probable cause that he is a murder suspect. And so he's a person of interest until he becomes a suspect.
And so now he's a murder suspect, and here's how we got here. Court documents say Officer Riser worked with a hitman to kidnap and kill 2 people and dump them in the Trinity River. In February of 2017, police say Riser paid $3,500 for the murder of Albert Douglas. His body was never found. A month later, police say Riser coordinated the murder of Liza Sines, whose body was discovered in the river with multiple gunshot wounds. Detectives say Riser tried to pay $6,000 for Sines' murder, but the hitman and associates were already arrested. When asked about the connection between the officer and the victims, the chief called them acquaintances. Garcia added today that the motive is unknown. So right now, Riser is at the Dallas County Jail, and aside from the criminal investigation, there's also an internal administrative affairs investigation. Chief Garcia saying that they are going to fast track his termination, adding, quote, "This individual has no business wearing this uniform." Guys.
So, Alex, we heard from the chief there. What about the mayor? Is Eric Johnson weighed in?
Yeah, Chris, in the last hour, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson did weigh in. I want to show you that statement in part. He said, quote, "While I understand this case remains under investigation, I am sickened to hear about these allegations, but I am grateful for our homicide detectives who have worked to ensure that justice is served." Again, that is Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson. We'll send it back to you.